Happy Friday.
Yo.
Hey, guys.
Happy Friday, guys.
What's up? So today we're going to talk about consistency.
Yeah.
And so I got a quote to start us off with.
And hard work.
Yep. So consistency creates habit, and our habits shape our life. All right. Which one of you guys want to build off of that?
Hard work. It works. Do it, and you will reap the benefits. You know, if you work your fucking ass off, you will reap the bennies. 100% guaranteed. And
Absolutely.
if you're not reaping the bennies, maybe you should work harder.
So, you know, the thing is about consistency is, and I totally get it because, you know, I'll give you a perfect example. Instagram is one of those perfect examples. It's like, you know, you could post on there for years and years, and it feels like it's such a slow process, you know, of growth and, you know, figuring out the algorithm. But, you know, if you're consistent, it does build and people will come to the page. It's just, you know, it's a slow build up. And unless you hire somebody to help you manage that, which we haven't yet, but because we still post on there ourselves and stuff. But you know, people want things overnight, and we've talked about this many times before in previous episodes. They want that instant gratification. And sometimes consistency is about longevity as well. You know, it's about being consistent for a long time. Especially if you want to see success in something. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. And neither is whatever it is that you're working on, whether it be your body, whether it be your business, whether it be, you know, personal growth, development skills. It takes time. It takes time to break habits, and it takes time to develop good habits.
Yeah, definitely takes a lot of time. Consistency is key.
Do you have
anything
story or example, either one of you, of something that's taking you a long time but was worth it because after, you know, just being consistent with it, you started to see the fruit of your looms?
Sure. Always got something for
us. Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has some form of story of consistency. It's really just what life is. You know, your habits are consistent every day. For the most part, they say like 95 to 97% of what people think every day is the same thing. It's 3% that really causes the change in your life. So 95% of your day is probably the same if you actually took a pen and paper and you wrote it down, and you can see the benefits and the results of that consistency in your own life on the day-to-day. I consistently left my closet a mess. I consistently left certain areas in my house a mess, and consistently those things have bothered me. So it's like that's something that I notice will negatively affect me consistently, but consistently I have also done other really good things. I've trained in the mixed martial arts for about 4.5 years now. You know, pretty much every single week I've been putting in hours at least. You know, I've been working out every single week towards mixed martial arts for that long.
That's how you get great, man.
Yeah, and I've seen the benefits of, you know, becoming much more confident, understanding that in, you know, physical situations or altercations, I at least know the basics on how to defend myself. I can walk into a room confidently. And on top of that, you know, I have a fight that I'm going to be coming up in as well.
Dude.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Dope. It got pushed back a little bit, but
yes, Alejandro
still going down,
and he's rehabbing that. So
it's going to be sick.
Yeah, I like how he talked about how things can consistently negatively affect you as well. You know, and that goes hand in hand with changing our habits and hard work, you know, and I can attest to that too, because you know, you get really busy, and before you know it, all the laundry went from the washer to the dryer to the couch. And now it's Mount Everest. I see Ezra shaking his head. So yes, this is a problem a lot of people have, including myself. In fact, this was a problem, and my sister's probably on here listening, and my twin brothers, that we had all the time. We called it Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom and Dad.
I have a solution. Someone on the internet, if you're listening, make a folding machine. Fold your clothes.
We're ready now. We're ready for a Rosie the robot from the Jetsons.
Imagine though, it would be the washer, the dryer, the folder,
Yeah.
right to your dresser drawer or wherever the hell
But
you keep your
where I
clothes.
was going with this is it consistently negatively affects me. And so it's not going to stop negatively affecting me until I decide to make a change. And the change is that I got to be, make a new habit, which is to break the old habit, stop leaving it on the couch and create a new habit, whether that may be, to maybe hold off on the laundry until I can fold it right when it gets out of the dryer. So until I have the day where maybe I wait until Sunday when I have a day off and I do it, on Sunday. Or I don't move it from the dryer, but coming up with different ways to break that habit, because it's never gonna, you're never gonna feel consistently better about the situation until you you form a new habit. And the
Yeah.
same thing with in what we do in our industry. This bug keeps falling out. Is
Woo!
that if you consistently feel bad about yourself and the weight that you're at, you're not going to make any sort of change in a positive manner until you break that consistent negative habit, right?
Yeah,
So
that negative
there's
talk.
things that you want to be consistent in a positive way about, and then there's habits you want to break that you've been consistently negative about. And so do you have any sort of, I guess, advice or recommendations on how you can form new habits and how to break new habits? Because I think that's important too, and it goes hand in hand.
So they actually say to have a new habit, you have to replace an old one. So say, I guess, a cigarette smoker, they smoke all the time. They're trying to replace that habit by maybe feeding their mouth with some food. So if you replace the habit, it's easier to get over the old habit. But the goal would be to replace it with a good habit.
Right.
So like fat and lazy, sit around, stand up, walk around.
Yeah.
Or, a lot of people, start
Keep it
quitting
simple.
smoking because it's a hand to mouth habit, right? So, I like how you said, yes, you could replace it with food, but unfortunately that
Yeah.
can be a negative habit, right? Just like, people who get sober from alcohol, it is typically if you are addicted to something, you have an addictive personality, right? They end up forming a new habit. So they may, form an addiction to something else, whether it be good or bad. But, a lot of people, a good habit for them to break smoking is that gum. So the hand to mouth.
Yeah.
They have something in their mouth, they're chewing, they feel like they're, still doing something with that hand to mouth action. But I see a lot of people do that. And sometimes they do that and they replace it with nicotine gum. So then they keep weaning themselves off. And then before you know it, now they're just chewing regular gum. But there are ways to get out of, bad habits and form good ones. Do you have any sort of recommendations or advice on how you have maybe stopped bad habits and formed new ones?
Sometimes it's a more complex problem than we give it credit for, and sometimes it requires an overhaul of the system. So it's not necessarily just one factor that needs to change.
Yeah.
For me, whenever it comes to like me mentioning that my closet is always a mess, that is, I'd say, one symptom of a larger problem. So like whenever I am feeling mentally cluttered, I think it reflects in my environment. So
Okay.
if my environment is cluttered, then I'm mentally cluttered. So generally, if I look at my house, I know the areas that are going to be clean. All right. The kitchen is normally tolerable. The living room is tolerable.
Yeah.
The room is a mess. And then the closet is just horrible. And then it's
I
like
think the closet's a
bathroom
part
is
of the
okay.
room, right?
It's a hiding spot for
Yeah.
most people. The closet is used
Yeah.
to hide shit, and you
Mhm.
can close that door, and it's not there
It's just
anymore.
like what we
It's a
talked about
disappearing
making the
act.
bed when you were little, shoving all the stuff underneath, taking
Yeah.
the quilt, making sure it's made nicely, but it also touches the ground so it covers.
You might
the
even throw
bottom of
some
the
things
bed.
underneath that blanket to
Mhm.
hide that from the parents.
Yeah.
These are all good tips, children.
Yeah. So if you look at your house and you see clutter in specific areas, take the time to look at your mental state and look inside and ask yourself, are there clutters inside that I need to focus on as well?
Yeah.
Are there just too many factors in my life? Do I need to go more minimalist? Do I need to get rid of the excess in order to focus on everything or on the things that matter more, so that way I can
Keep
operate
up with it.
effectively?
Burn it down,
Yeah.
start over.
I like that. No, you really did make me think about because it's something I've actually been contemplating a lot lately is, of course, Justin always tells me I have too much clothes and too much shoes. But
Okay.
recently I really
Okay.
had an
Free.
epiphany where I
Free.
actually
Shit.
believed him and I was like, oh my God, I do. Like this is actually a lot
Okay.
to handle, all this laundry. I'm constantly, sure, it's great. I
Sure.
have different outfits all the time, but I'm constantly having to wash clothes and then I'm constantly dealing with that problem. This is keeps falling out. I'm constantly having to deal with those clothes on the couch. And it only makes me feel more down.
I'm gonna get rid of the couch. Then you can't put it on the couch.
No. So, anyways, I do have a couple different recommendations or tips. So, a couple things I have found on Amazon myself is just like habit tracker calendars. If you're more of an old school person and you like to put that pen to paper. And then there's also plenty of apps, right? So we've talked about this before. So setting reminders on your phone. So maybe the reminder is, like I said, if I wanted to cut this bad habit of the laundry, maybe the reminder is so every Sunday, I wake up and I make it a routine. At 10 o'clock, I'm going to start the first load of laundry, and by 11, whatever, I make sure it's out of the dryer and so on. So you can download different apps and do that. And then also I like how Ollie talked about the fact that, it generally, if you have, things are bothering you, like your house, like, the closet or, your bedroom, there might be actually things going on up here that's causing you to avoid that situation. So definitely, I think starts with something basic and simple like journaling. Why am I feeling so mentally cluttered? Is there something going on? Am I not, the happiest where I am personally? Is my relationship making me unhappy? Is my diet or, am I not working out enough? If my motivation's down, why is my motivation down? And when has that changed? And just noticing these things about yourself and maybe looking at a pattern like, okay, for the past 6 months, the closet was tolerable, but for the past 6 months, it's been intolerable. So what has happened in the past 6 months? And like I said, you may come to the conclusion you've just gotten really busy. Maybe it's busy season at your work. And so, maybe you can even do something if you don't want to get rid of the clothes. Maybe you bag up most of the clothes you're not wearing. You're not ready to go through it yet.
Throw them in that closet, dude.
No, you
Fill
can
it
bag
up.
them up. You can maybe even get one of those things where you compress it and, so you make more room in your house and you take the air out, right? And you just stack them up in your closet and wait till you are ready to go through them. Because maybe chances are you
Throw 'em
do
in the
want to wear
closet.
them. But this is just a point in your time, a season in your life where you're really busy and you might not be able to wear these pieces of clothing or you're not ready to part with them.
Yeah.
You could also donate them.
Yeah.
Instead
Tax
of,
write
like,
off.
Tax
throwing
write-off.
them
Absolutely.
out.
Yeah. Someone
Donate.
gets to enjoy it. You get to enjoy a little tax break.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, there's different things, but I definitely think being aware of yourself, which was the most important thing that Ali said, aware of what's going on inside of you mentally, as to why you feel like you have these bad habits that are consistently negatively affecting you is super important. Because again, it's going to affect you creating new habits. Oh, Sarisha just commented and said, I donated. Love that.
Let's
So
go.
I'm sure she probably donated some of her clothes because Sarisha is one of our clients and she has lost over 50 pounds. I think we were talking about it the other night, 52 pounds.
That's so
Awesome.
sick. That's
Go,
a really good
Sarisha.
transformation.
So she
Sarisha's a beast.
she probably donated a bunch of clothes that didn't fit her. But I
That's
know
right.
that Justin wanted to talk about being consistent and hard work,
Yeah.
and how those two go hand in hand.
So when it comes to hard work, I mean effort, how much effort are you putting into not only like your job, but like cleaning your house? If you gave a little more effort and you actually cared a little bit more, you would get it done.
Mhm.
Maybe give reasons why you want your house clean and keep reminding yourself, this is why I need it clean. Like
Yeah.
in a workspace, I don't know if anyone's ever showed up to a place of work and it was unorganized and dirty.
Oh, it's horrible to work in.
It's the worst.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
cluttered space. Everything, your mind's going to be cluttered because all you're going to be looking at is a bunch of shit laying around.
Mm-hmm.
There's
So-
something about the feng shui. They definitely knew this already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if you just look at like every millionaire that you see, well, let's say on TV, all right, you see their
The
house.
one
right?
room they tape it.
I'm gonna imagine like their houses aren't always clean, but when
Yeah.
you do see it, it tends to be more minimalist. There are designated tables. It's very simple. Like you look at Kanye's house, it's all fucking white, and there's like one table,
Jesus.
2 chairs, nothing,
Yeah.
nothing. But I bet
Keep it
his
simple.
his mindset is absolutely like just clear.
Yeah.
In that moment until he starts saying all these weird things. And then,
But all right, so speaking of millionaires, though,
I was gonna say, speaking of,
I'm gonna
Kanye,
bring this up real quick. It's way off topic.
Okay.
But I just read this article. My boy Elon Musk launched a fucking ship like 4 years ago, and apparently, according to this news article, it's going to hit the moon.
Mhm.
And I don't know what it's gonna do, and hopefully it doesn't do shit.
This is so off topic.
But yo, that's crazy. My man just shot it up there, and he's like, who cares? And now it's about to hit the moon, and shit's about to go down.
It's a tiny little rocket.
Yeah, but
and it's a
what
big moon.
if
Here we go.
it exploded and the moon just like cracked in half or some shit? I know it's
Man.
impossible, but what if it?
All right, we should Google how many tons of like explosives would be necessary to do that.
I mean, it's
Exactly,
a planet,
right?
so it would
Who
take a
knows?
lot.
Yeah,
But when's the last time something hit that we know of, like a piece of are rocket ships.
The moon gets hit all the
Fucking hit
time. That's why it has craters on it.
Ooh, he's a space whiz.
History 101 for Justin.
Dude,
Anyways,
I
back to
thought it was pretty
Kanye.
cool.
All right, so
It's-
Kanye,
it's cool.
this
It
is
is
funny.
cool.
So he came up with a new song. It's called Easy. Totally check it out. Dope song.
Don't check
Dope.
it
Anyways, so I was listening to the
Always check
lyrics, and one of the things he says about his kids in the song, and speaking about being a millionaire, is that they're so spoiled. And that he makes a like reference about this isn't your mama's house, and like grab some ramen. And
You should
I
wrap
just
it for us.
no, I mean, it made me realize in listening to this, it's like, wow, so one man's hard work, because that's what we're talking about today, one man's consistency and hard work has paved the way for 4 other children's laziness. That's insane. Because, not even so much because he spoiled them, but because the mother spoiled them and wanted to give them everything that she had. And it just goes to show that that isn't always the right answer. You have to, no matter how much you want to spoil kids, no matter how much they deserve it, matter how much you want to, I don't know, fill a hole in your heart that you have to fill because, you want to give them something more you didn't have. I think if we're really looking out for kids' best interests, we need to remember no matter how much you want to give them something you didn't have, that's actually a selfish mindset.
Yeah.
It's not about you and what you didn't have. It's about making sure that it's in their best interest and what's the best for them when they grow up and become an adult and they develop.
It sounds really good. And I don't have children, so I can't speak, and neither can you because you're my. So
right. I'm
but-
just saying, like, both of us had to work hard and we're very consistent
100%.
with how hard we worked.
And anyone who has worked hard and has children, they all kind of say the same thing. They're like, I don't want to do this, but I do it anyway. I give my children everything. Because it's like, I guess it's just like a natural feeling. I don't have a child. I would assume that's just
I'm sure it feels great.
I have money. I'm going to give them whatever they need.
But listen to that song. Now these kids, are overly spoiled. And they probably, from what it sounds like in the song, again, I'm making, assumptions off of, references he makes in the song, but they probably want to go back to mom's house because that's easier. There's no rules. They could jump on the couch. There's, order food off DoorDash
Again,
or
it
whatever they
makes
want
sense.
instead of ramen and having to listen to rules. And then he also made a reference about how cameras are watching his kids more than he are. And he's giving the credit to the cameras, meaning, these people are, just letting nannies and cameras, take care of their kids. And that's why they
Moral of
probably
the
spoil
story,
them because
Don't get too rich because then you're never home and you can't have fun with your shit.
no, the moral of the story is,
People watch your
to
kids.
not overly spoil these kids to overcompensate. If you have to work, you have to work. Don't overcompensate and then give them a bunch of gifts or give them whatever they want because you feel bad you had to hire a nanny. One day they will understand what hard work is when they have to also do the same thing. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is understanding that hard work and consistency can only be taught through hard work and consistency, right? But if you keep spoiling these kids, look what's going to end up happening, right? They're going to be so bougie that, like, let's say Kanye and Kim were to like fall and they had nothing.
I don't know how this turned into the Kanye and Kim podcast.
I'm
but I
just
think we
saying
should
because
switch
no,
the
I'm
topic.
just saying because God forbid
'Cause I
they would
can't
have
stand either of
nothing.
them
Like
fools.
T-Pain, remember when T-Pain, had lost all of his money and he said he had to bring his kids to Burger King. He had to borrow money.
Rat
But
101.
he had to
Switch.
borrow money to go to Burger King.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
All
Imagine
artists
how
I would
those
never
kids
recommend.
felt when they were like eating whatever they wanted, doing whatever they wanted, buying whatever they wanted, and now they have to live broke. Right? So if you spoil these
Yeah.
kids, it's going to be even harder to, I guess if you ever were to hit a bump in the road, to show them that you can get out of that bump as well. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
what you're getting at is a deeper moral lesson here.
Yeah.
And the human is an incredibly complex creature, and money and hard work and spoiling and just giving them things that they want isn't
Yeah.
always what's best for them. I think that's why it's necessary for, like you said, not giving into those temptations that, oh, I grew up poor as a kid. I don't ever want my kids to feel that way. Like, you need to take a step back, look back, and realize, what did it actually do for you? The lesson was hard, but you learned a lesson there. So
Yeah.
how do you impart that lesson to your children without let's say the damages that you incurred? Because everyone incurs some form of damage while learning something. So what's the most efficient manner in which to provide the lesson without incurring damage? That's just how I look at it.
You
Yeah.
buy a house in the hood. You live there for a couple months at a time. You show them what it's like to be poor, and you tell them on the pictures, you ain't never going.
Well, it just
back.
reminded me of hard work and consistency because clearly these kids don't know what hard work is. and they don't know what consistency is
Yeah.
because they never see their parents, so they're not seeing the consistency happen in real time, right? They don't understand. They just think, oh, I just got born into fame, and that's awesome. My parents are famous. I'm never gonna be poor. I never have to worry about a thing. Well, you know what I mean? They're probably not even seeing poor kids, so they really don't know what that looks like.
So you're basing it on a
Yeah.
rapper. Now, if you base it on a sports athlete, it's a little different because they actually. I'm not saying rappers don't work hard because they probably do.
I'm not saying they aren't either. I'm just saying, like, that with them not being home all the time, the kids aren't seeing how hard they actually are working.
Yeah.
They're only just
For
seeing
sure.
their parents are famous,
Yeah. I don't know if I could have a famous parent. Well, I can't. I can't have one because I don't have one.
Well,
But
I know we talked about this the
That'd
other
be
day. I
rough.
don't
It
even
would
know
be
if I
tough,
could
I mean.
actually be famous. I mean, it would be really, really hard. And Logan Paul, and I know you're interested in him because he's been fighting and stuff. But Logan Paul talked about that. Justin said it wasn't on a podcast or on some YouTube video.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of just said that it kind of sucks.
Like they
Everywhere
can't go,
you go,
yeah, everywhere they go, someone's like,
praise you and
taking
I don't know.
pictures of them, bothering
they have
them.
no privacy.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what
Yeah.
it comes down to.
The problem that I think that comes down to is there's no anonymity, and anonymity allows for more focus on the self.
Big words.
Yeah, I mean the problem, like imagine you're getting recognized every day. That's if you were to dissect your interactions and label them into what's a distraction and what's what's constructive. So what's distraction, what's construction. A lot of the problem is with like those people that have that fame is most of their interactions that they're going to have in everyday settings that are, a lot of people find integral to developing themselves are going to be distractions instead of constructive interactions that they're going to have. So I think
Yeah.
that like being anonymous, being just the person that you are, it has a lot of benefits. You have the ability to operate in a much more introspective manner because you're not constantly distracted. You're not constantly pursuing, oh, what's the next video? What's the next video? What's the next video? You have the time to look inward and know who you are instead of knowing who people like and having to deal with sorting out like what their actual motives are and
Right.
yada
It
yada
depends
yada.
on what you're famous
It's all
for.
a mess.
I mean,
That's
that's an
true.
influencer. So that's the influencer life.
Well, not
You have to make
necessarily, because
videos,
even
you have
these
to do all this.
rappers, right? They're
Well,
making
a
reels and all
rapper
sorts of
is an
things.
influencer.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
It's
guess.
So,
just
like,
a mainstream one.
Elon Musk, for sake, he's
He's
like,
an influencer.
well, no, but he's become
When you think about everybody's an influencer.
almost an
Yeah.
influencer by like the fame that he's gained from Tesla and all the shit that he's done,
Right.
shooting rockets at the moon. Hey,
Yeah.
but so he started out as just the guy that just fucking was doing shit with Tesla and whatever the hell he does, all his
Mhm.
crazy stuff, and then he became this bigger figure,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
now he's in the spotlight, and maybe he necessarily didn't even want to be.
Think about
But the
this.
things that he did got him to that.
So I actually just saw
Mhm.
this. Interesting you brought up Elon. I saw that there's some crazy kid, I guess, actually like recording Elon's every flight and wherever he's going, when he's landing, and he's posting it on Twitter. And so Elon, talk about no
Talk
privacy.
about having
Elon
a lot of
offered
time
him
on your-
$5,000 to quit putting it up. First of all, that ain't enough for me to not keep fucking tracking where you're at, dude. You'd have to offer me more than that.
Yeah.
But anyways, so he's offering this kid $5,000 because he said that he doesn't really like the fact that somebody's literally stalking him and trying to figure out where he's going and then leaking it to the public. So that's the type of stuff that that happens to you when you're famous, and then these people are wondering what you're doing, with all these flights, and then before you know it, they're judging you, and so then before you know it, you're looking, like you said, inward, and now are you just deleting different characteristics about yourself that other people don't like for more fame, or just to stay where you're at on the fame ladder? You know what I mean? It's crazy. Being famous to me just doesn't seem worth it. And have we actually seen any people have come out and like, I love being famous. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I doubt it. I really can't think of one person off the top of my head that's
I think
like,
at first
love
it's
it,
probably cool,
absolutely great.
and then it gets very obviously annoying. I mean, no one
Mhm.
wants to be.
Well, then you have
public
to also worry
24/7.
about how, like, okay, so let's say you're dating, right? Do these people actually like me for me? Again, going back to what Ali said, do these people actually like me for me? Or do they like, the person they think I am? Do they like I'm going to give you another example, Ariana Grande, that they think I am? Or do
This
they
is
like,
TMZ
well,
today.
it's really going back to hard work and consistency, because these
Yeah.
people are probably at the end of the day, like, you have no idea how much hard work and consistency it took me to get here. And you're more worried about the Ariana Grande that I am now, not what I
No,
was.
I think they all
to
have
get there.
worked their butts off. I mean, you have to when you're in that industry, in any industry like that, like you're forced to put out content and or else you disintegrate
you
and
die,
are no
right.
longer
Mhm.
You socially die.
part of this.
So
I would say it's really tough.
what it sounds like, especially from the perspective of a lot of these people that we're talking about, a lot of them are artists. So a lot of their job is, I can't take off my jacket.
I was like,
because
what
these
just happened? You
headphones-
started to take the
These
jacket off and he
headphones,
kept
they
it
stop
on.
He's too
me.
swole. His arms have engulfed the jacket.
No, these headphones. But anyways, yeah, a lot of these people that we're talking about, they got to where they were because they were genuine, and they were genuine enough to know themselves as an artist in order to put out work that they really believed in, were really passionate about, and other people could connect to.
Yeah.
I think that the overarching theme that we're running into here is basically the separation of them being a false idol in a lot of people's eyes, and then them coming to terms with that false ideology, because
Yeah.
people are putting them into a box as opposed to the box that they define for themselves. So you notice a lot of these people end up eventually secluding somehow.
Yeah.
And then you only hear like pictures and shit on TMZ and like blah 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 whatever. Anyways,
Tabloids.
somehow through the ether and tabloids and and
all the bullshit.
Instagram
All
and
the
social
stupid
media,
news.
all the
Yeah.
BS that you really don't need in your life, are just sending in like these filtered images. This is who this person is. This is who this person is. This is how they're going to affect your life.
Yeah.
Oh, this is their message. This is their message. They're famous.
It's
You should
almost-
listen to it.
It's like I mean, it's fake.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
listen, everybody
And then-
poops, everybody pees.
It's a
and
toxic system.
They look at it as like, ooh, these people don't do this. They're almost like,
Well, it is a
robots.
toxic system.
Yeah.
So, we all go to church here, you and me, Ollie. One thing that's in the Bible is that we shouldn't idolize false idols, right?
We
So
shouldn't worship false
worship
idols.
false idols, idolize,
School.
look up to, right? And those things can also be materialistic things as well. You can end up, obsessing over your car, and that also can be a false idol. But so, we're not supposed to be looking up to these people. These people are not living, in a way that is, positively affecting the world. They may think they are, but at the end of the day, like you said, their messages are being pushed. Sometimes those messages aren't even messages that really came out of their mouth. It's messages that their PR people had told them to give, So really at the end of the day, do you really know these people? No.
Well, a lot of celebrity wise, no one really controls their own social media.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
So they have like zero control. They're just like, oh, I posted that today. Let's go. Dope.
So I think like how this all boils down into consistency is, how do you deal with these external factors in a way that eventually comes back to self? Because the only life and the only journey that you're truly going to experience in this world is the journey of self. So
Right.
how do you deal with these distractions and then filter them out to a point that you're still going to be able to know who you are, a helpful manner that is beneficial to the people around you that you love and really cherish and shows the path towards the things that are really important to you?
I got an answer to that. So, with what you just said, I think what's important is, looking inward at ourselves, right? And trying to figure out like, okay, so like if the past, 5-10 years you've been watching the Kardashians, what is that really giving me? What messages am I really taking in from that? And I think it's just going back to the basic life. Like you mentioned earlier, being a minimalist, right? Going back to the basic things that we know make us happy. So we've talked about this, I think, in previous episodes too, like briefly touched on it. Alejandro said he goes into nature, if he's feeling down. I think reaching out to your family and, I don't know, doing the simple things like getting on the phone with someone, maybe not hiding behind your phone,
Like, go for a walk.
go for a walk. The
Get outside.
basic stuff to really help you
Sunshine.
reset and think to yourselves, what messages am I taking in and applying to my life? Am I consistently applying these messages that are actually negatively affecting me and forming bad habits? I keep watching the Kardashians, so I'm trying to keep up with a champagne lifestyle. Right. So that's negatively affecting me. My bank, I'm just giving an example. My bank account, doesn't
You're getting a lot of
show a positive
Shout-outs
number.
today.
Right. I'm literally just giving examples.
I know.
So, to break that habit, you start with not watching, the Kardashians. You start with not, idolizing these false idols. You start with looking at what do you want? How are you going to accomplish that? Consistently saving and putting in hard work, although it takes time and longevity, like I said from the beginning, eventually that bank account will grow. I've talked about how I put my phone in the kitchen at night. Just because I do need to disconnect from my phone.
Mine has made
because
it out there now.
if I keep looking at these
I started it.
messages that being pushed,
Nice.
yeah, I'm glad you did. If I keep mushing,
It's out there.
mushing, if I keep
Not-
looking at these
not
messages
charged.
that are being pushed, then I'm going to stay in that consistent negative outlook I was in.
Yeah.
You know, so it's about looking inward and thinking about how can I change these negative habits that I have, and starting with small steps. You know, what messages am I taking in?
Mhm.
Any other closing recommendations, advice that we can give to our listeners that are wanting to start new habits and cut off negative habits?
Like and subscribe to all these channels. And you might just start to do different shit.
Yeah.
Because we talk about it every week.
We do. We talk about
So-
discipline. We talk about motivation. We talk about depression and anxiety. We, interview different clients of ours that have talked about these things. Like we just interviewed a, client who is a counselor, and he had great insight on things.
Yeah, my boy
Um,
was good.
But,
So-
let's just bring it back to the basics, people. If you're feeling this way, bring it back to the basics. Start taking a personal inventory. Start journaling on what you are feeling mentally, just drained over, and how can you fix those things?
And take a fucking
Yeah.
walk. Go outside.
Take
Telling
a
you,
walk.
Get into nature where we belong. We don't need these houses.
We don't need this TV.
I
We don't
mean-
need the Kardashians.
We make TV. So
Exactly.
But-
there you go.
go outside.
But you do
Listen to
need-
this outside on your headphones. Put your
But you
electronics
do
in
need
your face.
Operation Hustle always.
Yeah. Like, subscribe to all the channels. I think you know them by now.
Right.
we'll say 'em one
so
more time.
Instagram. We'll say it every time. Instagram. Abs Fitness underscore Brandon
No,
Florida.
definitely about that.
Facebook. Abs Fitness LLC. You can find us on YouTube, and we do that
Have some
live.
sauce.
Our podcast live on Facebook and YouTube every week, 2
And
to 2:30
Apple.
p.m. So that is Abs Fitness Film House. That's YouTube. And then TikTok is
Have some Tampa.
Abs Fitness
Or-
Tampa, right?
I think so. I don't know. I named
Okay.
it. I made it. Who cares?
All right, guys. We'll see you next Friday,
Yes.
2 to 2:30 p.m.